Was the Vallejo Police Department too quick to call it a hoax?
I don't think so, based on some of the evidence that we had at the time.
Some new information on that bizarre kidnapping case in California, with police refusing now to back off the theory that it was a hoax even after this suspect was just arrested. But Matthew Mueller's arrest happened months after the actual abduction, which was initially reported by Denise Huskins, seen here, and her boyfriend. Then when she turned up days later, police accused the couple of staging the kidnapping. Joining us now, Dan Shore, a former prosecutor. Brian Claypool is a criminal defense attorney. Dan, if you're the prosecutor in this case, Huskins and her boyfriend are the key witnesses, and police have already called them essentially the perpetrators of a hoax. How do you prosecute a case like that?
It's not a good fact for the prosecution. Obviously, you don't want any statement, especially from law enforcement, that undermines your main witnesses. However, I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem here, because the prosecutor will have to lay out the case for the jury, show what evidence ties this defendant to this crime, and explain to them, especially in closing arguments, why police originally thought it might be a hoax, and then logically talk to them about why we know now beyond a reasonable doubt that it's not a hoax. So as long as the evidence is laid out logically and what seems like compelling evidence is given to the jury, the prosecution can overcome that.
So, Brian, if you're the defense attorney, you must be able to make all kinds of hay with the fact that these two people who were maybe the victims of a crime, that their credibility has been undermined by police.
Well, John, to answer your previous question, there's also some physical evidence as well. I think it was reported out here in Los Angeles last night that the police found some goggles near this gentleman's house who they arrested with a blonde hair that might match Denise Huskins. And if it matches Denise Huskins, then I think that's some strong physical evidence that supports prosecuting this gentleman and getting a conviction. But getting back to your other question, you know, look, any police investigation is going to be ripe with error, and it's a fact that it's hard to criticize an investigation for negligence unless you've got some evidence that the police department did something intentionally or gross recklessness in calling this a hoax. For example, John, is there something in the criminal investigative file that suggests that there really was a suspect in this case, but the police were propagating this hoax theory to possibly lull that suspect to sleep so they could catch him? If that's the case, then Denise Huskins, she may actually have a strong, or she would not have a case against the police department.
There were some weird facts here. That's a granted, Dan. The couple was, reportedly taken captive. She was kidnapped, but her boyfriend didn't report the kidnapping for 11 hours. Then she turns up 400 miles away a couple of days later in just what happens to be her hometown, or the town where her father was living at the time. Given all of that, did the police just sort of go with gut instinct and say, oh, there are too many concocted events here for this to be a real kidnapping?
It certainly seems like that. You also had the unusual ransom demand of, I believe, $8,500.
Yeah.
There was an email with an audio recording sent to the San Francisco Chronicle that they thought seemed strange, that supposedly showed the victim of the kidnapping saying she was okay. So there were a lot of facts. At that point, the police thought it didn't add up. But now we know in hindsight, if the other evidence is true tying this defendant to the kidnapping, that they just made their decision too soon. Another important fact is that the kidnapping victim says that there were two people who committed this act. So if that's true, and this defendant is one of the kidnappers, there's at least one other person who may be out there.
We talked about this case yesterday, Brian. The victims here, Denise Huskins and her boyfriend, they're asking for an apology from the Vallejo, California Police Department. If that apology were given, would that somehow affect the case? I mean, why are they not simply apologizing?
Well, John, the problem is this. We don't know what is in that criminal investigative file. And I've been on cases like this. I had a teacher arrested for killing her husband in Bakersfield, California, a couple years ago. Found out a couple weeks later it wasn't her. She wanted to sue the police department for the investigation and accusing her of that crime. We did extensive research. There is blanket immunity for negligence in an investigation in California. You can only go after the police department, again, if there's some intent or recklessness on their part. But how do you get that answer, John, unless Huskins files a civil rights lawsuit? I would recommend she does if she wants to get to the bottom of it. File a lawsuit, then subpoena that investigative file. Without a subpoena, John, without a lawsuit, we're never going to really know what's in that investigative file.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the FBI is saying this was a real kidnapping. That's what their affidavits say. And the Vallejo police are standing by their claim that it was a hoax. Still to be unraveled, I guess. Brian Claypool, Dan Shore, thank you both.
Thank you.